Alrighty, thanks everybody for joining. My name is Dustin. Can everybody hear me okay? I think my IT representative here, Alejandro, said that I sounded okay, but is anybody else having any issues hearing me or seeing my screen?
Nope.
Awesome. All right, well, what I'm going to talk about today, whoops, I got a little bit ahead of myself, is going to be microcontrollers and mini computers as a hobby, which is something I kind of picked up to keep, you know, passing some time while, here in lockdown and quarantine and everything. Before I get into like what I've specifically been doing for hobbies, I did want to talk a little bit about what a microcontroller is in case anybody on the call might not know. In a nutshell, it's usually embedded in another device, and it's dedicated to run one program that controls some sort of function on your device. So but they could be anything from like something in your washing machine that controls the water levels, to like a chip in your remote that turns on your TV. So it could basically be anything that just is designed usually for one simple function. And they generally use read-only memory, and oftentimes it doesn't change in that. So they're also usually low powered, and the way I've been using it, they're really fun for like STEM projects and stuff. Like you could use them as far as like advances like robotics and other things like that. Um, so on the next screen, I want to talk a little bit about the devices that I've been using specifically. The first one is the Arduino Uno Rev 3. That's the microcontroller. So I have the picture of it and the link, and then that's the device itself. Um, and the one I bought starts out at like $23, so they're pretty inexpensive. And then the other device that I've been working with has been a Raspberry Pi 4, specifically the model with 4 GB of RAM. You can see here that you like when you buy a Raspberry Pi, you have a choices between choose between 2 GB, 4 GB, and 8 GB. And the one I bought has like USB ports and Ethernet ports. So basically, it's a little mini computer, and I'll elaborate a little bit more on that as we go along. The board itself can be bought for about $35, but you could buy it as part of a larger kit. The one I bought was about 100, and it came with like the case and a little fan, things like that. So first, I guess we'll talk about the Arduino itself. So this is what the little microcontroller that I've been using. Can you guys see my mouse on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So this is the top of it, and it's sitting in this little shell here. So right here is where your Ethernet, or I'm sorry, your USB will plug in, so you could actually upload code to the Arduino itself. And then this is just its power supply, along with other different sockets that you could use for different types of projects. Mainly for, I'm keeping it simple. I'm very new to coding and this kind of stuff in general in electronics. So I've mostly just been working with like LED projects and stuff. And with those, we use these little powers. You'll see that you have like the ground boards and everything here. And then just the bottom, so you could kind of see what we're working with here. It's an open source electronics platform. So one thing that I've been doing with that is I made what's called a binary counter. And before you show you that, I want to show you some of the parts that you can use for these. On the left-hand side here, we have what are called breadboards. So these are what you're going to use to build your circuits and everything. And then you have your resistors. So depending on how much power and everything you need, you're going to make sure that you need the amount that has the correct amount of like ohms here. And then there's some cool stuff on like Amazon and just different like electronic websites. You could order boxes of accessories to go with that. For instance, this box had just a bunch of different things that you could do. There's more resistors. There's some LEDs. And then you can see from this little panel here on the right-hand side, it just gives you all kinds of cool stuff to work with. I think I forgot to include the picture, but I also have this kit too. Can't really see it on there because of the background. But what it has is like different types of sensors and everything in it. So there's water level sensors and like balance sensors and all kinds of cool stuff. So it's just basically like a huge like electronic sandbox that you can play with. One of the first projects I had made with it was the binary counter. So I'll start this to show you guys. So you'll see there's the Arduino here in the background. And then I have the wires connecting it from the power and the ground ports over to the breadboard. And then you have your resistors and the LED lights. I kind of hover over it so you'll see a little bit at the top. So basically it counts through 1 through 15 in binary. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So here you can see the circuits that I had built for it. So you got here, it goes over here to the ground. So just in a nutshell. And then what else I want to show you along with that is I want to show you the code I had wrote to make it. It's pretty simple. Can you guys see this? This is the program that you could download with, or that's like from Arduino that I do my programming in. At the end of the video, I was going to show you guys the channel that I've been using, like the tutorials on how to do this stuff. So you can see here that I have my variables. So even I don't have it assembled at the moment, but if I wanted to assemble it with those variables in it, it doesn't matter. I don't have to put the circuits back into the same pins. Wherever I put them back, I could just update my variables here at the top. I'm sure I saw there's quite a few professors on this meeting too, so I feel a little overwhelmed talking about this, but this is basically was my introduction to coding, was like to learn how to do this. A lot of it was just copying and
You're
pasting.
doing fabulous.
Thanks.
It's incredible.
So you could see here, like with the 4 different LEDs that I have. So like this was 0. 0, we have all of these are off, and then 1, we only have the one on the end is on. So when it says low, that means the LED is off, and then when it's high, that means it's on. There's also other ways you could program it where you could actually adjust how much like power you're getting to that LED, so you could actually make it like change like, you know, its intensity. But I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of the code I have behind that binary counter. So I'm going to hop back over to my presentation here. So the next thing I have is we made an Arduino weather station here. Surprisingly enough, this one didn't need any coding though. Just a little joke in there. The next, if everybody's got a chance to see it. So that's about it for the little microcontroller that I've been using. In a little bit, I'll show you guys some other cool projects that have inspired me. But did anybody have any questions about my Arduinos or microcontrollers in general?
What was that YouTube channel you said you have for your coding, or that
The one I've been following, his name is Paul McWhorter, and he has a few different Arduino tutorials and stuff. Here in a few slides, I actually have the links and everything, so I'll pull that up and I'll show you. But he's really good, and he's really informative and everything. So when I haven't been doing schoolwork, I've been coming and kind of like watching his videos on the side. I think they're really cool. I highly recommend him. So the next I want to talk about is the Raspberry Pi that I've been playing with. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with them. Like I was talking about earlier, they do come with like 2 USB 3.0 ports, which are powered. And then you have your 2.0 ports, and it has a mini HDMI on the side. So you could actually hook it up to a monitor and everything, which is really cool. And then you'll see we have an Ethernet port. And the kit that I ordered came with this case and this little fan here. So you'll see that it has like it has little modules and inputs where you could add different things. You'll see here that you could even add a camera to Raspberry Pis. So I've seen some people make like home security systems out of them. They're really cool. They're just so diverse, and it's awesome to. I never thought I would know anything about electronics until I started playing with this stuff. And it's cool because a lot of it's just open source and you can play around with it as much as you want. So going back, there are some like cool accessories that you can add to Raspberry Pis. The one on the left is a camera. I believe that one was like 12 megapixels or something crazy too. The one in the middle, it doesn't look so good on that, but you could actually buy touchscreens to add your Raspberry Pi into. So you could actually make little mini handheld like computers or like, you know, anything that you might need, like be able to use the touchscreen for. And then this is just kind of scratching the surface, but at the top right, is a converter that you could add to your motherboard that can actually convert TV signals and everything too. So there's just all kinds of accessories that are sold officially by Raspberry Pi and then just otherwise on Amazon. I think one of the big brands is called like eLego. That's where I think most of my the little modules that I have and everything are from a brand called eLego. But it's all really cheap too. I think the Arduino and all those electronic components I had showed you guys, it was all under $75. So it's a pretty inexpensive hobby that you could get into. The operating system that is officially supported by Raspberry Pi used to be called Raspbian, but they've since changed it to Raspberry Pi OS. It's open source, and it's kind of it seems like it's derived from like multiple different Linux distros, but it is Linux based. And it's cool because it comes with different programming education stuff. So like it had some stuff to help you with Java, Python, Scratch. There's a ton of other stuff on there. When I was looking around through that operating system, it even had like a light version of Minecraft, which is cool. So yeah, it's pretty neat. It even has open source Office software, so you could do like document editing and like sheets and stuff like that. And with like the new Raspberry Pi 4s, the one I have is 4 gigabytes, and they even just released one that has 8 gigabytes of memory. So it can definitely be used as a low-cost alternative for a personal computer. So if you're like a student on a budget, or if you're just like wanting to play with like low-cost like personal computer in general, I highly recommend it. They're really fun to play around with. So I mean, they have multiple uses. Another thing that I've used them for is actually retro video gaming. Whoops, let me go back here. So one that I like to use personally is called RetroPie, and it's emulation software, and it's not strictly just used on Raspberry Pis. You could use it on your PC, you could do it on phones even. But basically, the one on the Raspberry Pi that I've been playing around can play like NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. It could do a Nintendo 64 too, but it does seem like the stability is a little bit shaky. But that might just be some processing issues, or even the ISO that was loaded on itself. But they're definitely wallet friendly and consumer friendly to buying like a re-released console. So like I know like Sega recently released like a version of their own like old consoles, the Sega Genesis, and it was like $100, and all you can play is Sega Genesis games and the games that they have loaded on there. So with this, you can play basically anything you want, and up to like Nintendo 64, of course. But it's a really cool way to like play video games and like maybe even play stuff that you might have played as a child or in your childhood. I added the website there at the bottom. It's just really cool. They if you're interested, I recommend it. You could run it on your computer, and on their website they take like donations and stuff too, because it is all it's all free. So the next thing that I want to talk about, kind of in the same world of everything, my roommate Carlos is one of the people who got me inspired to like start doing this stuff. Last summer he had actually built a robotic Wally here. So on the left-hand side, you'll see like the breadboards, and you could see it in the video here if I start it. So you'll see Wally. He actually has sensors on his head too. So if he gets close to the wall, he'll know to turn around. But you see the Arduino there on his back. So this stuff, a lot of people like to use it with like electronics and stuff, and robotics, which is really cool. And with that being said, it's definitely something that kids can get into as well. He showed his daughter. His daughter helped him pretty much throughout the whole process on that. She's only 6, of course she can't code or anything, but she was definitely involved with helping making the robotics, and it's definitely kid friendly too. So if you have any children that are interested in electronics, I highly recommend it. One thing I was going to show really quick here briefly is his code that he had wrote to do that. I wouldn't be able to explain everything, but just wanted to give an example of the code that he wrote for the Wally. So here you'll see like the kind of like the one that I wrote for my binary counters. You have like the input and output on the pins that have your electricity, and then here you'll see some of the stuff where it tells it to turn around if it gets to a wall and everything like that. But just wanted to give a little example of the code that he used to make that. Other cool projects I wanted to show you guys, you know, from around the web. Arduino. Let's see if it shows this. Can you guys still see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still
Awesome.
showing.
So here, this guy, he made a punch-activated arm flamethrowers with Arduinos. So it's pretty crazy. Probably not safe for home, but I thought that was pretty cool. Just the amount of like the insane things that people can do with this stuff. And then you could do more practical things too. Like I thought this was pretty cool. This person, they made a security access RFID reader.
So
We can only see like the
Yeah.
PowerPoint. Not
Oh,
the
yeah,
links.
it's not
Whoops.
bringing up those.
Oh, sorry about that. Whoops. Give me 1 second.
Mm.
Can you guys see it now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
cool. Yeah, so this one, they were able to make an RFID reader, so you could use like a card to like open a lock and everything. So you could do like the crazy flamethrower guy. Did that not show up either?
No, that one
Okay.
didn't show. Yeah.
Oh, it did.
No, it didn't.
Oh,
No,
it
that one
didn't.
didn't.
Gotcha. Here, I'll pull it up really quick.
Oh.
Does it show now?
Yeah, now it's up.
There we go. So that was the one. So there, you could do anything from like an RFID chip reader to flamethrowers if you wanted to. So, all kinds of crazy stuff that you could work on. This is another one I'll just bring up really quick. There's some cool communities on Reddit for this like homebrew electronic stuff. So you guys could see this one?
Yes, that one's up.
Okay. Cool. So I'll just bring it up there. So this person, they actually use their RetroPie to make a smart mirror that shows like their Spotify information, the weather. So there's just all kinds of cool stuff that you can do with these like homebrew electronics. Let's go back here. So to kind of end this, like we were talking about earlier, I recommend Paul McWhorter's new Arduino tutorial series. If you are interested in this, he breaks it down. Not only he broke it down like the coding, but he explained circuitry, which I had zero experience on, and everything. So he's a really good source for like more tutorial based learning. Below that, if anybody's heard of him, his name is Michael Reeves. I put here, this guy's not going to be like child friendly because he can have like crude humor and he drops some like language sometimes, but he's kind of like a cynical mad scientist and he makes crazy robotics and stuff. So if you're cool with like the humor and stuff, I definitely recommend checking out Michael Reeves too, because he makes hilarious like robotics, like a crazy like surgeon arm thing, and it's hard to explain, but he has some cool stuff too. I have also added just like websites for raspberrypi.org and Arduino. And then the last one, hackster.io, is where I had that RFID chip reader and the flamethrower. That's just a cool website for just looking at other people's projects who have been working with this stuff. I like looking through this kind of stuff just for inspiration. And I don't know if I'm ever going to get to the point where I can make crazy flamethrower arms, but I think it's definitely helped pass a little bit of time during quarantine and everything. But that's all I had for you guys on my presentation here. Did anybody have questions or anything that they wanted to ask me about any of this stuff?
Sure. You're probably too young to remember, but in my days, we used to play with something that was called the Heat Kit. It was sold by Radio Shack. And it came with a processor if you wanted. It was the TSR-80. And maybe some of you know this processor. And they made a mini computer in those days with a little keyboard embedded, and it was the size of a book. We used to call it the trashes.
Oh, okay. I've seen people do similar stuff with the Raspberry Pis where they've made like they use that little screen that I showed you guys, and they've made little handheld computers that are like that big. It's pretty awesome. But
in my days, we had a project, and as a group of students, I'm talking about 1979, but we did traffic light controller with the TSR-80, and we went to Albuquerque in those days. And the keynote speaker there was a speaker. It was Gary Kendall. He had the best operating system in the day. He was introducing something that was called GeoWorks for the Commodore computer. And he was saying in those days, look at this. The future is great for everyone. There's going to be many fortunes made by the technology, because he was talking about the year 2000, thinking that the year 2000, cars are going to fly, they're not going to need tires. But then there was this guy who said, no, in the end, there's going to be very few people making all the money. And we thought, oh, what a jerk. You know, he's spoiling the party here. That guy was Bill Gates.
Ooh.
Bill Gates saying that no, very few people. He was introducing his operating system and the language Pascal.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but boy, you know, your project reminds me a lot of many hours that I spent in one electronics lab, hours and hours and hours, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of soda drink.
Yeah, lots of coffee in my case.
Soda. We were poor students, so we didn't have pizza, but hey. But it was fun. I mean, I congratulate you for doing that. Thank you very much for bringing this. I mean, this is very, very rewarding what you.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I feel like out of my element with it sometimes. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even expect myself to end up in like the IT world in general, but my job kind of pushed me this way, and I ended up liking that so much. And I was like, well, I mean, it would be worth it to learn about what's going on inside of all this stuff too. So yeah, it's been really helpful. I think in a lot of ways, it's definitely benefited my school and career too. Just knowing a little bit, like kind of breaking myself into the world of like electronics and coding and everything.
And you probably feel humble because in my days, all my friends were much smarter than me.
Yeah, that's how I felt with my roommate building Wally, and then I was happy to build the counter that goes 0 to 15. So yeah, it's humbling, definitely. But sweet. Well, did anybody else have any questions or anything? I appreciate everybody jumping in this morning to listen to me.
Thank you for doing this, Dustin. It's very interesting. I teach binary, so I can totally appreciate that little counter. And I know
nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad it made sense.
Yeah, no, that was pretty cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys, and thanks Alejandro again for being my support on the call. So
yeah, yes.
All right. Cool. All right. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.